right. Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another very exciting program with us here at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. We've got a huge new audience and over 700 kids total today, so a big welcome in from across the continent. And if you're joining us for the first time, we do a lot of epic programs, nature, science, exploration, and more. Just this month, we've got a rattlesnake coming live tomorrow. We're in Nunavut next week in Canada's Arctic, and last week we were live at the Moon Rock Lab in NASA with Neil Armstrong picked up that rock rocks. So very, very cool programs. But of all those programs, this one has the biggest audience, and there's a big reason why. Now, we ran this program about a month ago, AI, misinformation, and how to know what's real and fake online. And it was so popular, we had to run it again. And combined, we've got over 1,000 kids that are learning from our epic speaker today. So Chelsea Humphries is a librarian at Memorial University in Newfoundland, where she teaches a wide array of subjects, but AI has been a big focus, of course, of students of all ages. So she's been teaching this at the university level to all manner of classes over the last year, and we've adapted it special for our classroom audience today. So 2 notes before I dive in with Chelsea. Number 1, she's staying late today. Her library is closed. It's a little dark in the library. They actually had to shut off the lights, but she's going to join us live after hours so that she can share all this cool stuff with us. And 2 is that today's program is super interactive. So in addition to the question and answer period at the end, Chelsea does have many moments throughout where we're going to be asking you some questions. So have your fingers on the trigger fingers to type in some stuff. Come on in. I'll bring you guys in live to answer some questions. But without further ado, if you're as excited as I am, Chelsea, welcome to the broadcast and take us away.
Thank you very much. I'm so excited to be here today. Hi, everyone. I am pumped to talk about AI misinformation and how to know what's real and what's fake online. So as Jesse mentioned, my name is Chelsea. And I'm a librarian and a master of information. Now, that's a title that came with my degree, but it makes me feel kind of like a superhero, so I kind of like it. Now, before I tell you more about what I do, my day to day, I'm really curious to know what you think librarians do all day. So we're getting interactive right from the start. I'd love to know what you think librarians do all day. Do we A, read books, B, shush people, C, help people find good information, or D, wear glasses and a cardigan, maybe while petting a cat?
Let's see what we think. Okay, chatting on YouTube. C, help people find good information. Help people find info on Nova Scotia, Ontario, more. I think they've got it, Chelsea.
I absolutely think you've got it. The correct answer is C. I help people find good information. That is primarily what librarians do. There are a lot of stereotypes about librarians, and I mean, I do happen to have a really nice pair of glasses, so maybe I'm leaning into that a little bit. But some fun facts about me, I'm actually more of a dog person than a cat person. But don't get me wrong, cats are absolutely adorable, and maybe we'll get to see some puppies later on in this presentation. So a really good way to think about me and what I do is that I'm an expert in navigating and evaluating information found online, in the media, and in books. So if you have questions, I can find the right answers. This translates in my day-to-day to having me do a whole bunch of things. I can find reliable resources on any topic. I do research and I help other experts with research. So at the university here, that might be professors, it might be students, it might be other researchers who come to visit the library. I collect resources like books and I create activities and events around them. And of course, I teach others how to tell good from bad information. And that's what we're going to be focusing on today. Because every day we encounter a lot of information. We encounter more than 74 gigabytes of information. That translates to as much as watching 16 movies. Now, think of all the information in a movie. The images, the conversations, the sounds, the music, any text that's there. Now, imagine that 16 times over. That is a lot of information. So how can we actually tell the good information from the bad information? And that's actually what I want to ask you first, because I think we all bring some expertise to the table here. So which of the following means that something is probably a good source of information? We've all had to look for things before. How do you know when something is good? Is it A, the first thing you find? B, easy for you to understand? C, shared by someone with a lot of followers? Or D, It's confirmed by others. What do you think?
Ooh, they did really well in the first one, Chelsea. Let's see what we get. Again, so many StreamYard classes. Welcome in, Avoca West. D, confirmed by others, YouTube, StreamYard. None of the above is an answer from YouTube. That's interesting. Okay, so D is our answer from StreamYard so far. None of the above from YouTube, confirmed by others, but depends on the who is also coming in. Great answers, people.
Yeah, those are excellent answers. I would say D, confirmed by others, but I like the addition that you've made, confirmed by others, and it depends who. We want to be confirming our information against really reliable sources. And sometimes those others, the people sharing or confirming information, might have a lot of followers. That's not necessarily a mark against them, but having a lot of followers does not equate expertise. And that's one of the points I wanted to make here. We want to be following and finding good information, not just popular information. Those are two different things. So what is good information? Good information is factual. It's true. It's verifiable. You can confirm it in another source, ideally a source that's shared by an authority or an expert. That's someone who really knows the topic, not just someone who's really popular or someone who's really loud on social media. Okay, another question, and I think you guys have got a really good handle on this here. Which of the following means that something is probably not a good source of information? A, it's the 10th item in a Google search. B, it's shared by an expert. C, it's trying to get me to buy something and uses a lot of exclamation marks. Or D, it's hard for me to understand.
All right. Our picture might give a little hint for this one, and I think everyone got this in our first time we ran this program. Let's see what we're getting. So C, yep, C. I think, yeah, the sale sign really gave away the game.
Yeah, absolutely. If they're trying to get me to buy something and making it seem really urgent with exclamation marks, there's a good chance they're not just sharing information out of the goodness of their hearts. There are other motivations at play here. So what is bad information? It's fake. It might be fake. It might not be true. Inherently, that's bad. It could be misleading or manipulative. So it's trying to make you feel or act a certain way. So if you're seeing something where it's using a lot of exclamation marks, it's trying to make you act urgently, feel like something has to happen right now, there's a good chance that's bad information because it might be shared with ulterior motives. Maybe they're trying to sell you something. They're trying to make you think this is a last minute sale. This is the only time you'll be able to get this. They want to make money. Or maybe they're trying to get clicks. Maybe they're trying to boost their profile online. Those are all different motives that could be underlying some bad information. Now, bad information usually comes in two types. There is misinformation, which is false information that's spread regardless of whether there is an intent to mislead. And there's bad information, or disinformation rather, which is a bad kind of information, which is deliberately misleading or biased information. So it's doing it on purpose. And it's usually telling a manipulated story, a manipulated narrative, or twisting the facts around. It could be a form of propaganda. So disinformation is bad information that's shared on purpose. It might be trying to accomplish something, maybe to help people make money, gain power, you name it. Now, with this in mind, knowing good and bad information, which I think we already have a pretty decent handle on, there's something else we need to address. And this is the generated elephants in the room. We need to figure out where generative AI tools and generated content lie in this broader landscape of information. So another question for you now. ChatGPT, Google's Gemini, and other generative AI tools understand what you would type into the chat just like a person would. Is that statement true or false?
Let's see. Our audience, you guys have been killing it so far. I think almost universal correct on everything. So you guys really know your stuff. Let's see what our answer is. So false, a bit of false. I hear both true and false. That's really interesting. YouTube, yep, false. So mostly false, Chelsea.
Mostly false. Well, the correct answer is false. Generative AI tools do not actually understand your prompt or their own answers. So the way that these tools work is that they transform the words and phrases that you type into the chat into a bunch of numbers, or tokens is what they call them. But it takes these numbers and then it does some really fancy math behind the scenes. It does some algorithmic math to generate what it thinks the most likely string of words in response would be, according to all the piles of data it was trained on. So it then spits out a bunch more numbers that are then flipped around into words. So really, it doesn't actually see any of the words that go in or any of the words that come out. Essentially, it's a super powered version of predictive text. So no, it doesn't understand what's going in or what's going out. Okay, we have another true and false now. When you ask ChatGPT a question, its answers are always correct, true or false.
I think given our track record of our audience so far, we're going to get a lot of right answers in this one. Let's see what we get from StreamYard and YouTube. False, false. Yep, false says the class. Way to go. YouTube, false galore. Okay, they're doing great.
Awesome. I'm very impressed. The answer is false. It is not always correct in the answers it provides. So because these tools don't understand what you're putting in and what it's putting out, they make mistakes. And these mistakes are called hallucinations. So to run with the idea of this being kind of like predictive text, so you might know when you send a text to somebody, how silly some of those predicted words can be. So for example, if I'm texting my partner or my mom and I want to say, I love you, I might start typing in, I love, and then out of nowhere, my phone might suggest tacos as the missing word. And yes, I do love tacos, but that's not actually what I meant to say. And in the same way that predictive texts can be really silly, the responses generated by AI can also be very wrong. The only thing is, it sounds really, really confident in the answers that it gives you. So don't confuse confident phrasing for the truth. Remember, these tools don't understand what's going in and what's coming out. So they have no commitment to the truth. Okay, now that we know this about generated text, is this all that we need to worry about? True or false? I only need to worry about generated text. Images and videos are always real.
I mean, we had that image of the elephant a little earlier in the broadcast. I think that might give away the game a little. And yes, false, 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 false. And, repeated falses. We're really getting down the rabbit hole here of falses.
I love it. I appreciate that everybody is skeptical of what they're seeing online already. The answer is false. Like generated text, images can also often look and feel convincing even when they aren't real. And fake images can be trickier to spot than other kinds of misinformation and disinformation. So I wanted to spend a couple minutes talking about the images we might be seeing online. So let's talk about how to identify deepfakes and generated images. And just to make sure we're all on the same page, a deepfake is a really good generated image or video that's intentionally trying to mislead you into thinking that what is being depicted is real. So it often mimics a real person saying or doing something that they've never actually said or done. So how can you spot these? How can you spot these when you're online? You should ask yourself first, what do people's hands look like? AI is not always great at generating details like the number of fingers on a hand. Do they have the correct number of fingers? What do their teeth look like too? Sometimes the fine details of teeth can look kind of funny. Also, look at jewelry, glasses, facial hair. Does it look right? Are they casting reflections and shadows in the way you'd expect them to? If someone is speaking, does the sound and speed of their speech match their facial movements? This is really great for videos. And are there shadows or reflections generally in the space? Do they look natural in the environment, or does something look kind of off? That can often be an indicator that something is AI generated. Now let's take a look at a couple of examples here. These look really, really real, but none of these are actually real photos. All of these images were taken from a website called thispersondoesnotexist.com. So this website uses generative tools to create images of people, but none of these people actually exist. So some of them you can tell are fake if you look closely. In the top right corner, you can see here that there's a half generated pair of glasses on this man's face, but not a full pair of glasses. You can't do that in real life. That is not a real image. On the bottom left, you can also see that there's something up with this woman's hands. They're not quite the way a hand usually looks. And on the bottom right, this is a very small detail. If you look at the collar of this shirt, you can see that the fabric kind of blurs and blends in a really weird way on the left side, in a way that you wouldn't normally see in real life. But the other images, they don't really have any clearly distinguishable features to let you know that they're generated. Generative AI is getting really good at this. So I have another example now, and you can play along as we watch this short little clip.
In this video, see if you can figure out what's real and what's AI.
Is this gazebo real or AI? It's AI. The barbecue? It's real. This hamburger is fake.
Which one of these is the real purse? This one. This is a potato.
This shit. It's real. This shit? It's AI. Is this building real or AI? It's real. It's called the shell.
Here's a hard one. Which potato is real? This one. This is a potato, but it was AI generated before.
What's AI in this scene? Virtually everything. I can change my background like that.
Which toilet paper roll is real? This one. I need a prop budget.
So you can see just from that one video alone, it's kind of crazy what AI can do. It was really challenging the first time I watched that video to try to actually parse the differences between what was fake and what was real. There are some subtle cues if you look at the shadows, particularly the reflections around that toilet paper roll on that very last one. You might be able to figure out which one is the real one and which one is the fake one. But we need to practice this stuff. So you can also test your skills at this website here. This is an experiment that comes out of the Kellogg School at Northwestern University. And with this particular experiment, you can practice identifying if photos are real or generated. Some are really realistic, and they're quite challenging to determine, but some of them are really silly. Like this one here was one of the favorites that I came across. It's a bunch of astronauts sitting around a pizza that's also a cutting board. They might be on a space station, I'm not really sure, but that's definitely not a real image. So knowing all of this, it's really hard. How can we tell the good information from the bad information? I think our instincts are already pretty good, but what we really need to do is look carefully at our information sources and read around them. So what does that mean? We need to ask ourselves a few questions. Where did some information come from? Who posted it? And why did they post it? So when we consider where did something come from, we should be asking ourselves, is this the original piece of content? Is it repurposed in any way? Is it AI generated? Is there missing context before or after an image or video? Are we seeing just a random little snapshot? Are we missing what was happening around the particular scenario? That might make a big difference in how we understand something. When we consider who posted it, we should ask, are they an expert? That's something that we're already paying attention to. It came up earlier in response to one of our questions. We need to know that information is coming from a source we can trust. Is there a website you can check for more information? And are there resources shared or cited that you can check? Does the information source link out to other articles? Does it refer to books? Can you check this information somewhere else? Why did they post it? What is their motive? Are they trying to inform or teach? Are they trying to sell you something? Is it maybe a joke? Are they just trying to be funny? Who are they posting it for? Are they posting it for elementary school kids? Are they posting it for university audiences? The audience can make a difference too. And then finally, after we've looked around a post, we should consider the post itself. What does it look like? Is it covered in ads? Are they really trying to make money from all the advertisements? Does it look outdated or off in some way? We've learned how to look at AI images. Are the claims being made fantastic or too good to be true? Often, if that's the case, we should be fact checking what we're seeing. So let's practice. What does that actually look like? So remember, I'm a taco lover. I found this article, Taco Bell introduces new cheesy beef dunk tank. I think this is super cool, and it's a really fun new way to enjoy tacos. But I need to ask myself some questions before I take this at face value. I need to ask myself, where did it come from and who posted it? So I can see this article was published on The Onion. It looks like a news site, but many of the headlines look kind of funny. So another headline here is Taco Bell's new green menu takes no ingredients from nature. That's kind of funny. There's no journalist's name associated with this either. So I might be a little suspicious already. Why did they post it? It's possible that this article was posted just to be funny, or maybe someone out there actually really loves tacos as much as I do. What does it look like? It looks like a news article. But if we look closely, the image of the dunk tank looks a little funny. I wonder if that really is cheesy beef. So, question for you. Do you think this is true? Is the article about something real? Yes or no?
I've had an awful lot of falses over the course of this program, Chelsea. Let's see what our audience says. So yes, no, not real, no, 100%. No. Wow, very fervent.
You are correct. No, 100%. This is not real. This is technically fake news. This is satire. So if I were to go to The Onion's main page, if I went to their About section, somewhere up at the top of the screen here, I could learn more about The Onion. And The Onion, they post joke articles. That's what they do. So this article was posted as a joke. It is technically fake news. Let's practice again. So I mentioned before, I also love dogs. I am absolutely a dog person. I'm scrolling on social media and I see this post. I love dogs. It looks like this is going to share some weird and fun information with me about how dogs try to communicate with us in a variety of ways. Plus, there are a lot of cute dog pictures. Should I trust this source? I have to ask myself those same questions. Where did it come from? A social media site where really anyone can share anything. Who posted it? The account is called Doc Journals. That references a doctor and it makes it sound kind of official, but I don't really know anything about this account. I should probably look into it. I should click on the account and learn more. Why did they post it? I would hope that they posted it just to share information about dogs with interested people, but I can see that there's a little promoted link at the bottom. So you can see it down here. Maybe they're making money off of this. And what does it look like? Well, it's adorable, first off. But looking closely, there are a few spelling mistakes here. So with all of that in mind, do you think this is a reliable source of information? Yes or no?
I already beat you to it, Chelsea. No, absolutely not. False, fake, all the things. Yep.
Amazing. Yep, this is definitely not reliable. This is clickbait. This is trying to get you to click on things so that they can make money. So the source is a content generating company. They're not a vet. They're not an animal expert. And I want you to notice how the words cut off here. They're trying to get you to click so that you can read more. They are in control of how this stuff displays. They're doing that on purpose. And if you've noticed the other errors, there's spelling mistakes. I want you to be skeptical when you see grammar mistakes and typos because good information is usually well presented. It's on a well-maintained website. It looks professional. And of course, this is a promoted tweet, so money was paid to push it to you. They are trying to generate some kind of revenue or influence through this particular page. So knowing how to read around sources in this way, and you've all been so on top of whether something is reliable or not, how does bad information actually spread? Like, it seems pretty easy to identify. But one thing that contributes is confirmation bias. And confirmation bias is a fancy way of saying that we tend to more readily believe things that confirm what we already feel or believe to be true. So, for example, I love tacos. I love tacos so much that I'd share anything about them. If I found an article that said that tacos were the best food on the planet, I'd absolutely believe it. And I would instantly want to share it. If I saw something that said that pizza was actually better, I'd be like, no way, Jose, that's definitely not true. I'd be more reluctant to listen to it or share it. So we really want to believe and share things that confirm what we already think and feel. That's confirmation bias, and that happens all the time. So what can you do to help stop the spread of misinformation? Step number 1 is don't share things right away. Think about the following. We need to extend our critical thinking first by asking of the post, of course, where it came from, who posted it, why they posted it, and what it looks like. But then also ask some questions of ourselves. How does this make me feel? Disinformation often tries to spark an emotional response in you. Does something make you feel really excited, angry, or surprised? This can make you want to share something before you've really investigated it fully. Ask yourself, why am I choosing to engage with this? Is it just confirming what you already think to be true? We should challenge our thinking to avoid confirmation bias. And of course, ask yourself, are there other reliable sources I can check to verify this information? By thinking about what you see online before you share it, you can be an information superhero, like a master of information, and fight misinformation and disinformation too. So let's practice with this second round of questions, things we can ask ourselves in addition to things we can ask of the post. So I saw this video on TikTok the other day, and the title got me really excited. Did this guy really find dinosaurs? It looks like there are little long-necked dinosaurs in the background, and that's kind of awesome. But before I do anything with this, I need to ask some questions. First, I need to ask some questions around the post, but also I need to investigate how I feel about the post as I engage with it. So where did it come from? It came from TikTok. Anyone can create videos on TikTok. And with AI filters and green screen tech, we need to be careful about what we see. This footage looks real. It doesn't look like it was generated or edited beyond the green screen overlay of the guy on top of the animal videos. So that's at least where I'm at going in. Then I need to consider who posted it. This was posted by a person named Mamadou, who also runs a YouTube channel called Casual Geographic. He regularly posts funny videos about real animals, sharing weird facts about them. The video looks like it's about dinosaurs at first. He even calls these creatures in the video moonwalking dinosaurs at one point. But then I can see this furry creature appear on the right, which is not a dinosaur. It's called a coati. And that's what Mamadou actually spends the video talking about, particularly discussing how they rove around in gangs. So it's a good thing that I watched this in its entirety before sharing it in excitement that dinosaurs are actually alive. So how does this make me feel? Well, the video at first made me feel excited about dinosaurs, and I watched it because I wanted dinosaurs to exist. And honestly, that's probably a ploy that they're using to get views on this video. Everyone thinks dinosaurs are cool. I could have looked up other sources to confirm if dinosaurs really did exist, if that's what the video was about. But I might want to look up coatis instead, because that's actually the subject matter of this. And double checking here reveals the truth. Coatis are a real animal, and the information shared about coatis is actually true in this video. So I confirmed this by looking up the San Diego Zoo's website, and they have a whole page explaining information about coatis. The important thing here was that I needed to watch the video in full. It wasn't just about dinosaurs and the excitement around that. What was true in the video is that coatis travel in bands, and they do like to hold up their tails for balance. And when you see it from a distance, it kind of looks like a long-necked dinosaur. So this was actually real. Now, one brief note. Confirmation bias is not the only way that misinformation spreads. There are many things that contribute to the spread of misinformation and disinformation, but I want to focus on two in particular: filter bubbles and algorithmic bias. These are fancy terms for things we already know. So think about your Instagram or your TikTok versus your friend's Instagram or TikTok. They're not the same, are they? You'll see different recommendations popping up on your accounts than what you see on your friends, because Instagram and TikTok try to show you more of what they think you specifically like. So my Instagram might have more tacos and puppies than yours. Because we see more and more of what we like and engage with, This can lead us to thinking that our little bubble of the social media world is representative of everything that's out there, but it's not. And sometimes we get caught in bubbles of misinformation. So we really need to check what we see and track down other sources to confirm and round out our understanding. Keep in mind that Google, social media, and many AI tools are designed to collect data and money. Their main goal is really to make money. They are businesses first and foremost. They aren't necessarily showing you the best information at all times. They are showing you what they think you want to see so that you continue to use them and spend more time on them. They collect money through ads and sponsored content. If you've seen those sponsored results at the top of your Google results, people are paying to be in that #1 spot. That doesn't mean that they're the most reliable sources of information. They've just paid the most to be there. We need to think about and evaluate what we see by reading around our sources like we've been practicing, confirming and rounding out the information we find with other materials. So how can we find better information online? We know we need to read around our sources and be intentional about what we engage with. And here are 4 things, broken it down into 4 things that we can keep in mind. Number 1, don't just rely on the first or the most popular things that you see. Number 2, read and watch the whole thing. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't be fooled that a video is about dinosaurs when it's actually about coatis. 3, consider, are there important voices missing in what you're seeing? Actively search for material to balance out one-sided views in case you're trapped in one of those filter bubbles. And 4, double check material that seems questionable or too good to be true. There might be other motivations underlying that particular piece of information. You can double check material and fact check by using a number of resources. I always recommend librarians. Librarians are always wonderfully friendly and happy to help you investigate different information sources. You can also find some really cool books on the topic. So this book here, Killer Underwear Invasion, is a really awesome book. It's all about fake news, disinformation, and conspiracy theories. And the International Federation of Library Associations has created a great poster that maybe you want to put up in your classroom about how to spot fake news. And it's got a number of tips very similar to the ones I've shared in this presentation here. You can also explore some fact-checking websites. There are some great ones out there. So if you see something questionable, you can look it up in one of these places to determine if something is true or not. And I know that this is a lot of caution that I'm throwing your way. I'm trying to get us to be skeptical about what we're seeing online, but I also want you to know that this is a really great time for information because information has never been easier to find than it is today. This means that anyone can learn anything, anywhere, at any time, and that's just what you're doing today with Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. I think that's really awesome. We just need to be smart about how we're reading and sharing it. We need to take that little extra bit of time before we share, and then we'll all be well on our way to being an information superhero. So that's all that I've got for you today. Thank you very much for your attention, and I am pumped for our Q&A.
Amazing. Well, I will say in advance, if classes have more questions that we can take in the next 12 minutes or so together, please email them to us at Exploring by the Seat of Your Pants. Chelsea's graciously agreed to take more of them after the broadcast is done, so we'll send along anything your class wants to know. But we're going to start in Guelph. Ms. Gallant's class, welcome in. If you want to unmute your mic and share a question on behalf of your class, we'll head to our California groups in a second. And Illinois, you guys are at the camera as always. So come on in Guelph and kick us off. Hey, guys. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
Great.
Good. How are you?
Yeah. Oh, maybe you're having a moment. Do you have a question?
Yeah.
Okay.
So how do you know if like the LA fires, like the photos are real or not?
Ooh, that's a really good question. So I would start by looking it up in a bunch of different places. I would look at a few different news sources, not just one news website, but probably a couple, because some news sites approach things from different angles. So maybe see if you can find an image repeated, replaced. You might get a different angle on a particular photo. You can also copy and paste a photo, I believe, in a Google search, and you can reverse search that image. So you might actually figure out where something has come from by tossing it into a Google search, and it will find the sources that created that particular image.
Yeah.
So I would say maybe don't start with social media in that case, unless you're taking an image and you're pasting.
Oh, sorry. I pressed the wrong button. Chelsea, keep going.
No worries. But just look in multiple places to try to confirm that. And I would also definitely recommend some of those fact-checking websites. So if you go to factcheck.org, which I know was shared in the chat here today, or PolitiFact, you'll be able to find out whether something is real or not.
Yeah. What a great answer. And that's the first time I've ever banished a speaker in the middle of their answer ever in 1800 broadcasts. So thank you for bearing with me, everybody. All right. Avoca West, grade 3s, come on in Illinois. And then we're going to go to Mrs. Lee's class to start if you want to flick on your mic as well. But Glenview, hey, guys.
Are there more people who use electronics for their videos and photos than real photos and videos?
Ooh, interesting.
That is a great question. And, I'm not sure that statistic actually exists, but I will say it's never been easier to use all of these digital tools than it is today. So I would say probably most of the videos that you're seeing, whether it's on YouTube, on social media, even the stuff that you're seeing on TV, like all of that has gone through some editing process. So whether it's completely generated or maybe it has some CGI elements, if you've seen a superhero movie and you see all the crazy explosions and stuff, a lot of that is fake too. They're not just blowing up buildings when they go on the movie set. They're making a lot of it up using a lot of this stuff. So I would say it's more common than it's ever been before, but it's really hard to know if more people are making real videos and engaging actually as they are on camera, like we're doing right now, than who are kind of using these tools to make up some stuff along the way.
Yeah. It's a really interesting time because for all you students, you go with your phone and you can film a video and get it up on social media in 2 seconds. Whereas your teachers and Chelsea and I had to get a camera like this, bring it home, connect it to the computer, download it, upload it, edit it. It took like 5 hours to get like a 10-second video up. And that was a big deal back in the day, maybe with like a VHS tape. So it's a totally new world that you're coming into. And if you use the tips you've learned today, it'll really help you identify those real and fake videos. So I love that question, guys. All right, Mrs. Lee's class, we're coming to you first. Mr. Segui's class, Mrs. Becker, all our California groups in a row, but starting off with Mrs. Lee. Hey, guys, unmute your mic. Come chat with us. Hi. Let's see. Yeah, you're almost there. Press that mute button right on the bottom, and we'll be right with you. Dun, dun, dun. Or we'll come back while you figure out the mute button. We're going to go to Mr. Segui's class. Welcome in, guys. Hello. Come on up, ask a question.
Hello. So I have a question. So what if you go to a real source and you still feel like something's off, so then you check it with fake sources and you get the wrong answer?
Interesting.
Well, I think you have to do some digging around the sources that you're using, because it's possible if you find something real and you go to confirm it, but you're confirming it against bad sources, it might tell you that you're wrong. So you do need to do that little extra bit of homework around the sources that you're using. Look at, if it's a website, look at the about section of that website. Does it make sense? Are there experts who are putting some of that information together? You want to make sure that even the sources you're checking your sources against are also really good information sources. Hopefully that answers the question.
It's a really good question. It's a complicated question, so I really appreciate the answer. We're going to head to Ms. Becker's class, also in San Diego. Mrs. Lee, if you want to try again, we'll go great, and then we'll take a few from our YouTube classes before we wrap up together. But come on in, Mrs. Becker. Hey, unmute. Let's see.
Hi. Have you ever been misguided by the internet when you were young?
Ooh.
That is an excellent question. And I think it's probably happened to everybody. I think there's so much information out there that looks really real and convincing. If you're looking at something and you're not really paying attention, you don't take the time to double check it, you might think that something is real that actually isn't. So a funny example, this is from not that long ago. There was a deepfake image that circulated on the web. It was of the late Pope wearing a big puffer jacket, like one you might see, like, I don't know, Drake wearing or something. And the first time I saw that image, I was like, this Pope is really trendy. Like, he's got good taste. But sure enough, it was a deepfake image. It wasn't actually real. But because I saw it and I did not give it the right amount of time, I didn't look at it closely enough, I didn't look around the source, I was fooled. But I also did not share that image. Because I hadn't taken the time, I wasn't about to immediately send it to my friends and family and say, hey, have you seen this picture? Because I hadn't actually taken the time to confirm it yet. It had fooled just me, and I prevented the spread of misinformation by not passing it along until after I'd actually looked into things.
I love this answer, but I also love the question. And this is worth noting for all our students, all our teachers, everybody, is that there's no shame if you're taken in by misinformation. There's a lot of fake stuff online. You're gonna fall for things that are fake, and that's okay. Try not to share them, obviously, but we're all going to fall for things. And the more we use these skills in our lives, the better we'll be equipped to not fall for things in the future. And that's the biggest message from today. So I love this question, guys. All right. We're going to take, Mrs. Lee, you asked 2 in the chat that I'm going to take live, but they're just so great. And then extra questions we're going to take in emails after the fact, because we've got so many questions that we can't possibly take them all. So why do AI images often have mistakes? And is there any app that we can check to see if photos are generated by AI?
Those are awesome questions. Okay, so first, why do generated images have mistakes? It's because images are really complicated. So large language models like ChatGPT, so generative AI that produces text, was trained on really huge volumes of text. And that's pretty straightforward. Like, words are words. When you have images online, there's a bunch of metadata around those images. So that's a lot of basically text and computer language behind the scenes explaining to the computer, here's what this image is. And there's a ton of stuff that's there. So to train these tools to generate images, they have to be trained on the image itself and all of the underlying background information. So if you have a picture of a dog, it's got to be labeled a dog. Dog, label it a dog. It's got to compile all those things, see that this is what a dog is, and then it'll be able to generate something that looks kind of like a dog. But there are so many details in an image. You might know the phrase, a picture is worth 1,000 words. There's so much that's there. It's really, really challenging for it to get it perfect. But as we keep moving and we keep developing more of these tools, we train it on more and more images, they're only going to get better. So we might see fewer of those mistakes going forwards in the future. Now, as for an app that can check if photos are generated by AI, to my knowledge, there isn't one particularly good app to do that. I think there are increasing rules around having AI watermarks on things. So whether that's something you can see or the computer can see to indicate that something is AI, I think that's possible. It might be hidden away in the code of a particular image. You might want to do some of that reverse lookup in Google that I mentioned before. And even if you just Google reverse lookup, it'll tell you how to do that. And you can also check fact-checking websites. And those would probably be my first steps.
Yeah, one of the key things, and I'm sure this is going to come up in some of the extra questions we get, are like, what are reliable sources? And it's hard. Again, there's a lot of information out there. It's the best time to be interested in information ever, but there's a lot of things that are trying to mislead us. So if you find sources that are consistently true, that have journalistic standards, that have fact-checking standards, that correct their mistakes, because even professional journalists and media make mistakes, those are all good signs that you're going to get accurate information from them. And you can also look at something like The Onion, where they're just trying to be funny and they do a very good job of it. So guys, there are literally more questions than we could possibly take in like 2 broadcasts already, which is a great problem to have. So please do email them to me. I'll get them to Chelsea. We'd love to take your extra questions. Before we bring in all our class to say thank you and farewell, Chelsea, is there any final message you want to leave us with about AI misinformation or how to know what's real and fake online?
I want to say that you guys have already got this. You are blowing me away with what you know about AI, how you are already really skeptical about what you're seeing. And I want to say, run with that. Definitely remain skeptical of what you're seeing. You know how to fact check your sources. Look at the authors, look at the organizations, take a close look at those images. And when you feel strongly about something, if something is making you angry or upset, you take that extra beat. You can double check to see if it's actually true or if it's just trying to get a rise out of you to spread more misinformation or disinformation. So you guys have already got this. You're already there. I have all the faith in the world in you, and I am really excited to get to more of your questions when you send them in.
No better message than that. Thank you so much for joining us today, Chelsea. After the library is closed for good measure, as you know from our last broadcast, we're going to bring in all our classes to say thank you and farewell. So Guelph, our California crews, our Illinois crew, thank you so much, everybody. Have a wonderful day.